Wednesday, April 2nd, 2026. Good evening. The retreat is no longer a rumor, it is a documented reality. And tonight, the full catastrophic weight of this administration's strategic miscalculation is finally crushing through the marble floors of the West Wing. What began as a chest-thumping military adventure has metastasized into a geopolitical hemorrhage that no press conference, no rebranding exercise, and no executive order can cauterize. Let us establish the facts on the ground. According to fresh reporting from Reuters and confirmed by 3 separate Pentagon sources, the United States Central Command has issued internal directives pausing all offensive air operations over Iranian territorial airspace. The official framing? A tactical recalibration. The operational reality? Washington blinked. After absorbing coordinated Iranian drone swarm attacks that disabled 2 carrier-based radar installations in the Gulf of Oman overnight, military planners have quietly acknowledged what battlefield analysts have been screaming for weeks. The kill chain is broken. Understand what that means. The entire American air dominance doctrine, the trillion-dollar weapons architecture, the carrier strike groups that were supposed to project unstoppable force are being systematically neutralized by Iranian FPV drone clusters costing less than $5,000 per unit. This is not a temporary setback. This is a structural collapse of deterrence theory. Meanwhile, the Strait of Hormuz situation has deteriorated beyond the worst-case scenarios presented to Congress. Iranian Revolutionary Guard vessels are now operating a fully formalized toll collection system. Chinese supertankers move freely. Japanese LNG carriers have been granted conditional passage in exchange for Tokyo quietly distancing itself from Washington's sanctions framework. And American and Israeli-flagged vessels? Completely frozen out. The administration did not just fail to secure the strait, they handed Tehran a permanent economic weapon pointed directly at the Western-aligned global order. The energy markets are screaming. Brent crude breached $140 per barrel this morning. Aviation fuel costs have triggered mass flight cancellations across European hubs. The IMF issued an emergency statement warning of a synchronized global recession if the strait remains under Iranian control past the second quarter. Working-class Americans filling up their tanks are now personally subsidizing a war their government is desperately trying to escape. Now, observe the information environment carefully. The administration's media apparatus is running a full narrative inversion. Figures who spent the past 6 weeks celebrating shock and awe bombing runs are now quietly pivoting to the language of strategic patience and measured diplomacy. The same commentators who demanded regime change are now floating articles about respecting Iranian sovereignty. The goalpost has not just moved, the entire stadium has been demolished and rebuilt 3 miles away. Pay attention to what the Gulf states are doing right now, because this is where the next phase of the crisis ignites. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman held an unscheduled call with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi this morning. The Saudis are not making this call for ceremonial reasons. They are exploring architecture, a new security framework that does not require Washington as its cornerstone. The UAE has simultaneously accelerated its bilateral trade discussions with Beijing, denominated in yuan. These are not coincidences. These are contingency plans being activated in real time. The administration purchased Gulf state loyalty with security guarantees. Those guarantees are now visibly hollow. And when the regional partners who bankrolled enormous investments into this administration's financial ecosystem conclude that Washington cannot deliver protection, the diplomatic unraveling will move at a speed that no White House communications team can manage. On the domestic front, the political calculus has turned genuinely dangerous for the administration. 3 Republican senators from oil-producing states broke publicly with the White House today, demanding a full congressional accounting of operational objectives and exit timelines. This is not the loyal opposition. These are architects of the original authorization framework, now pulling their names from the structure before it collapses entirely. The fracture lines inside the governing coalition are no longer hairline cracks. They are load-bearing walls giving way. The 33% approval ceiling is not the floor, it is the ceiling. The president's inner circle reportedly spent more time managing the optics of a Tennessee helicopter deployment scandal than receiving battlefield intelligence briefings. 2 Apache gunships used against civilian protesters, then redirected for a photo opportunity at a celebrity's private estate. That is the image this administration is projecting to allied military commands watching their soldiers absorb Iranian missile fire. Retired generals are not just uncomfortable, they are furious. Former CENTCOM advisors speaking anonymously to Foreign Policy magazine described the current National Security Council as operationally paralyzed and politically captured. Decision-making that should be driven by battlefield realities is being filtered through domestic polling considerations. That is not a military command structure. That is a liability. Here is the hardest truth that official Washington refuses to articulate clearly. Iran did not win this confrontation through fanaticism. They won it through preparation, through decades of investing in asymmetric capabilities specifically engineered to neutralize American conventional superiority. Their ballistic missile program, their drone manufacturing ecosystem, their economic endurance architecture, all of it was built with the explicit understanding that a direct confrontation with the United States was an eventual certainty. They gamed this out. Washington improvised. And now the administration wants an exit, but exits have prices. The Gulf states want ironclad security commitments. Iran wants formal acknowledgement of Hormuz sovereignty. The Chinese want sanctions relief codified into any ceasefire framework. Russia wants energy market normalization. Every party sitting at the theoretical negotiating table wants something the administration loudly and publicly declared it would never concede. The door is not just locked from the outside. The key was thrown into the Persian Gulf weeks ago. We will continue monitoring every development as this historic unraveling accelerates. Keep your notifications active. Independent analysis matters more tonight than it ever has. Stay informed, stay grounded. Have a nice day.